Okay, I think we're live. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome. My name is Louis. We are here again with another BoSTEM virtual career chat. Welcome if you're joining us. We are super excited to have you participants. Just want to highlight briefly as you are joining us today, we can't hear or see you participants because of privacy concerns. Just know that if you want to ask questions or if you have comments throughout this session, feel free to use the chat box feature down at the bottom of the screen. But without further ado, I'm super excited to jump in today's discussion. We are going to talk about a career path into a STEM company, which is really exciting, looking at a math perspective, particularly accounting and finance. I don't want to say too much because our guest today is going to talk all about their experience at their company today and how they established their career pathway. Today we have Soufiane joining us. Soufiane, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Please introduce yourself.
Excellent, Louis. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. So my full name is Soufiane Younoussi. I work at Alnylam Pharmaceuticals. I'm the associate director for revenue accounting. And I've been with Alnylam for about 6 months now. And prior to joining Alnylam, I worked for a public accounting firm named Ernst & Young, shorts EY, people say EY or Ernst & Young. And I was there 11 years before moving to Alnylam. And I'll tell you guys a little bit of my career path and how I got to do accounting and things that I do from when I used to do audit at EY and what I do right now at Alnylam. So I was originally born in a West African country called Niger. After high school, there was really not a whole lot of solutions for me with the universities that were there locally. So my parents were looking for a good opportunity for me because I was really good at math and physics and chemistry. I was very good, and they're like, we need to find you something good. And we happened to have good friends in France who told me that they could find a school for me, and accounting was one of the options. And I didn't really think about accounting until this option came to play, and I got a better sense of what it is. And really, what convinced me that accounting could be a good career choice for me was the fact that I love math, I love numbers, but I wanted numbers with meaning. And when you work in accounting, you're really looking into financial statements and anything related to those. And there's a math aspect to that, but it has meaning. It has a direct impact to what the company is doing, to decisions that will be made. It's all based on those numbers, and I really like that concrete aspect of knowing what my skill set is going to bring to the company. So fast forward, I went to Paris. I started with an associate degree there. And when I finished, I wanted to further my education, so I moved to a city called Orléans. It's in the center of France, where I did a bachelor's and a master's in accounting, and it was time for me to find a job. And really, what I wanted in my job was something that would open up opportunities for me. And when you're an accounting major, one of the best ways to get your career started and learn as much as you can and get all the exposure you need is to work for one of the so-called Big Four. So Big Fours are the four largest audits and audit, tax, and finance companies in the world. So if you're interested in its PwC, it's Ernst & Young, EY, where I ended up working, KPMG, and then Deloitte & Touch. Those companies have offices in over 100 countries around the world, and they dominate really the market. And in terms of resources that they put in for their employees to be really at the top of the game, they share no expense in doing so. And while in France there, I wanted to integrate one of those companies. It's extremely competitive. And one of the criteria was to speak English really well. And at the time, my English was somewhat shaky, so I decided to go for a study abroad program. And I ended up in Tennessee. I was at the University of Tennessee. I was supposed to spend just a semester there. Really, really liked it. I liked the diversity of people that I met there on campus, people from all over the world, and really the US culture started to grow on me. I like how things were done in here, where you have a say in things that you can do, and it really went well. So I extended my program for 2 semesters, and when I graduated, I came to visit a friend in Boston. And while I was here visiting, I got a job at a hospital in Roxbury, doing accounting work for the hospital. And because my goal was still to integrate one of those big 4, I still worked hard to find a break into one of those companies again, because they're so competitive. I ended up getting an interview with Ernst & Young, and I joined them. So I'll say one thing I want to talk also about accounting is people have this conception that, accountants have those big glasses, they sit behind a desk and they just crunch numbers. And to be honest, if that's really what the stereotype was, and if the reality was that way, I wouldn't be doing this job. The job is extremely dynamic. You need to be a people person to be a good accountant, because really what you do is figuring out what's happening in the business and make sure that you get those to be meaningful from a numbers perspective. And to know what's going on in the business, you need to talk to a whole variety of people to understand what they do. And as they're talking in your brain, because you're the accountants, you can tell what would have a financial impact on what's happening so that those can be recorded properly. So in my audit job, my job was to make sure that the accountants do their job properly. So it's looking into the rules and regulation and just look at what they put in their books and understand that and give them recommendation if they miss something. And what was cool about that is throughout my audit career, I really worked with a variety of industry. So that's the one thing also, again, that you may not have in other careers is every company needs accounting. And so whether you're healthcare, you're oil and gas, automobile, you name it, every serious company needs to have record keeping. So it gives you this really good overview in how companies work. In my audit work, I had clients in this variety of industries, and it gave me the ability to see, like I worked on the Chrysler, Fiat's automobile audit. They would explain us how they put the cars together, how they do the manufacturing, and what are the triggers that would have an accounting impact. But to be able to do that, you really need to understand the business. I've also worked on, when we look into Boston local companies here, you may know Car Gurus is a company that sells. They have an online platform, and you can buy your car online with them. And so this company, I know their business really well because they used to be one of my clients on the technology side, things that they do to build the website and how they sell it to dealers who have their inventory within Car Gurus, and that's how they make money. I've also worked with some big banks, and in my career, because the skill sets is so versatile and universal, you can work anywhere in the US, and to that effect, anywhere in the world. And as you're getting more senior, you're getting more experience, the sky is the limit to what you can do. So I spent time in Canada, for instance, when I was at Ernst & Young for about 2 years, helping out with an audit there because they needed somebody with some US skill set. And really, this couldn't have been done if I was maybe within a more strict or regulated domain where my skill sets would just apply to that specific thing. But accounting is applicable anywhere, and that's something that I really, really like as well for choosing this career path. And so here at Alnylam, what I do is we are a pharmaceutical company, and we do a lot of research, as well as partnering with other biotech pharmaceuticals on advancing research together. And when we do there's a lot that have financial impacts. And so I'm on the revenue side. Anything that would generate revenue for the company is something that I'll be involved in. And when you think about revenue, it's something that would ultimately result into cash. So management is very sensitive to the accounting for those pieces. And so it's really interesting for me to be talking to so many people within my organization to understand what they do, understand the science. When we're doing research for certain disease, for example, COVID is one of our target. We partner with a company on the West Coast called Gear, and we do research. So I'm part of those discussions to understand how is this research going, what are the things that are needed, how much money do we need to spend to come up with this drug, and really getting into those discussions and me translating into financials is really, really important. And outside of work, my regular day job, I'm also very involved with just having more minorities within my profession. This is a profession that's dominated more, we'll say, by white males. And the industry, the profession recognizes that, and they recognize the value of diversity. Having people from all walks of life coming in and really putting their heads together to solve problems, to see things, is very powerful. So I'm extremely passionate to have more diverse people in my field. And so in that regard, I'm involved with an organization called NABA. It's the National Association of Black Accountants, where we give scholarships. We do speeches in high schools and colleges to really encourage more minorities to come into the field. And those who are studying and maybe struggling, give them some tips and advice on how they can overcome those, and also help financially. We do give scholarships. I also do, I'm involved with the MSCPA, so it's the Massachusetts Society of CPAs. They're very involved in also helping people who are in the accounting world here in Massachusetts to excel, and the diversity is a big focus for them. So people like me with my background, it's unfortunately very few of us with my experience in the Boston area, and to that effect, the rest of the country, and I want to change that. So anytime somebody approaches me and wants to know more about what I do and how I can help, I'm extremely passionate. So I'll pause in here and see if there's any question that may come in. Louis, do you see anything?
Yeah, I don't see anything right now, but I just want to thank you, Soufiane, for that really detailed overview of your job. It really gets us understanding how math is applied and is used as a vehicle for companies to make decisions. Really important role, very strong skill set as well. I'm really curious to learn, Soufiane, however, about your education experience, considering that our participants who might be listening in on this session are in the middle school and high school grades. What was it like for you to kind of grapple with math? Was it easy for you? Was it challenging? And if it was challenging, could you talk to us about some supports that you had? What were some mentors or outside things that helped you kind of be better at math?
Absolutely. So I'll say, because the application of math within accounting and finance is more concrete, so you don't have to be the very best at math to excel in accounting and finance. you need to have this logic mindset. So I just want to make sure our students who are listening to not be discouraged if they are not the best at math in their class. And also, now the way to overcome things that may not work out well. So for me, when I was in high school, I was okay in math, but really what helped me overcome certain challenges I had was to get a little extra support. So I had tutoring in math, and math, I look at it as repetition. So the more you exercise, the more problems you try to solve, the better you become. And there are just so many ways the problem can manifest itself. So if you learn a concept and you have a book of exercises where you can use it to apply that concept, you do it multiple times. You are what next time you have a test, the test cannot be beyond what you've actually practiced, because there are just so many ways questions can be asked. So practice is really the key here. Just practice, practice, practice. You may try the first time, it's not going to work out. You should not be discouraged, because again, those people who are really good at what they do, if you ask them how they get to be as good as they've been, it's all about practice. They've tried, they failed, but they didn't stop. They try again, they try again. They ask questions. Asking questions is also key. Definitely never think that a question is dumb. There is no dumb question. If it's in your mind and you feel that something has to be answered for you to have more clarity, it's a good question. Go ahead and ask. And also, I always like to look at leaders and how they react and how they get to be where they are. And sometimes, again, you hear certain people ask questions, and in your mind, you may be like, how can they ask this question? But because it's giving them clarity, and you'll have some leaders who you think know it all, they will be asking basic questions. And because they're not afraid to ask those to have more clarity, that's how they become as good as they are, because they're not afraid to ask questions. So I would say my two advice is ask questions. Every question is a good question, and practice. Really, there's no way around that. Get the exercises, practice, and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. Very strong advice there. Thank you, Soufiane, because our middle schoolers right now are just unsure, or our participants in general are just like, I might like math. Can I make a career out of this? How does this really apply? And so to know that accounting and finance is a career pathway possible for them, they can definitely pursue opportunities. So like you say, practice their STEM skills. Soufiane, we're nearing the end of our session here, and I'm wanting to hear a little bit more about, what it was like for you to kind of make those transitions from home in West Africa to France, and then also to the States, if you are currently living here in the States. Am I assuming correctly?
That's correct, yes. I live here in the States. I'm married, I have kids, so this is home for me now. I'll say the first transition, again, I love traveling. My father used to travel a lot, so when I was a kid, I just wanted to follow his footsteps and go see the world. So when the opportunity to go to France came up, I was very, very excited. And then I'll say 6 months in, when I was in France, then I got really homesick. It was tough. It was tough. First time I left my family, all the excitement fell off, and I felt homesick. It was difficult, but I was lucky to have a support system around me, people, friends of my family, and really open up, and they made sure to really make me feel comfortable. And once I got over that hump, then that was it. I just had the travel bug in me. When the opportunity to go for an exchange program come here in the US came, I took it, no regrets. And you can see I've actually never went back, and I ended up staying in here. So it's really that first step that may be a little bit difficult, when you've never left your family, you have a little bit of apprehension. And then once you do that, then you see that you grow so much, you learn so much from just talking to different people, different cultures, different way of seeing, and that enriches you so much that you just want more and more and more. So I would advise all our students here who may have lived home. Once you decide what college you want to go to, don't limit yourself to just colleges in your town. If what you want to do is a little bit further out or in a different state, go for it. It's going to be an amazing learning experience. And once you're in college and you happen to have a study abroad program offered to you, take it as well. You'll be rewarded greatly, personally, and even for your resume and how you would present yourself going forward. Companies are looking for people who just are diverse and who can navigate different scenarios, because the world we live in now, as one philosopher put it together, we're like a global village. Everybody just comes from different places, and those who thrive are those who have also been exposed to a variety of things. So this is my advice.
That is so powerful. Soufiane, thank you so much for your perspective, your global mindset, your highlight of transitions, your advice about, STEM skills being applicable in the real world, and that concreteness that our students can really grasp. So powerful. I just want to thank you again for your advice and your time, for sharing your story today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
We are nearing our session, at the end of our session here, participants, but I like to close this here with just mentioning that, as we're hearing with Soufiane's experience, there's a lot of uncertainty with the career pathway. We understand that STEM is a hard or challenging kind of pursuit to take on, but it's so rewarding. As we're hearing with Soufiane's advice, advocate for yourself, pursue different opportunities to practice, to learn more, to connect with different people, because as we're seeing with Soufiane's experience, it really helped him kind of establish a really fulfilling life. I'm so happy to know that those type of advices that our educators are saying is echoed in the workforce from professionals like you, Soufiane. So participants, I hope that we are finding value in today's session. I thank you for joining us today. I thank you, Soufiane, again, for giving your advice and sharing your story. Participants, as you know, these sessions will continue on for the rest of the season. So please tune into your adults to check into the menu so you can find out when our next career chat session is happening. Soufiane, if you'd like to volunteer again with BoSTEM, we have other opportunities, so feel free to reach out to me after this session. But as we know, we are here at the end. Participants, if you'd like to continue this conversation with Soufiane, there might be another opportunity to hear more about his work at Alnylam. If not, however, we can continue this conversation offline. Your educators have my contact information. I'm happy to loop folks up to kind of talk offline more about accounting, what it's like to work at a STEM company like at Alnylam and in the accounting department, and just Soufiane's experience overall. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Soufiane, I hope you have a great rest of the afternoon. Participants, thank you for joining us. Any last words, Soufiane, before we sign off?
No, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited, and I think I may do this again, because again, I'm very passionate about this. And I've worked with some Boston public school students. I know how diverse the student body is, and also Madison Park, for instance, is a school that I worked with a lot. And I know we have a lot of these students who may be first generation college goers. So uncertainty on what the path is, and also uncertainty on being the only one in doing certain things. And I know how hard that can be. And I'm here to support. If any of the participants wants to reach out to you, Louis, and wants to connect with me, feel free to make that connection. You have my email address. I'm very, very passionate about helping out. So I wish you all good luck, and I hope some of you would consider accounting finance as careers, because they're rewarding and the jobs are out there and they pay really well too. So
All right. Well, thank you again, Soufiane. Participants, there might be an opportunity to reconnect. So let's find, let's remember Soufiane's advice about using our voice. I'm excited to see what this opportunity can bring in the future. Have a great rest of the afternoon, everyone. We are here at the end, sadly, but have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye.